Hey, welcome in, fans, to another episode of the Two Line Pass podcast. I'm Randon, here with me, my best buddy, Dustin. Ryan is currently out indefinitely to be determined on his return. Dustin, we are in December. Holiday cheer abounds us. Are you cheerful this evening?
I'm going to force myself to be cheerful. I'm going to clear the air. I'm going to light a soy candle that I got from a game place in the Southtown Mall, and it's going to clear the air. It's going to like the nourishing and replenishing smoke as we record, and it's going to just change the vibes of the whole season. And we're going to be positive. And I say that now knowing that the mayor of Negative Town is going to run rampant all over this episode. But I stay steadfast as the representative of the proletariat of positivity. So we're good.
There's some negativity that we can talk about, but we don't need to talk about all the negativity. You know, November is in the rearview mirror. We're moving on. December is here and it's going, 4-4 through
terrible.
December. Yeah, they're playing some games, they're winning some games, they're losing some games, but a big thing of negativity that we haven't had a chance to talk about, and that is Logan Cooley, who is out, was indefinitely, then GM Bill Armstrong came and updated to at least 8 weeks. This one hurts. Obviously, one of the best players on the ice for the Utah Mammoth for this season. He's one of those guys that you really looked for to take that next step this year. Looked like he was going to, had streaks at the very least, but his good streaks, he was incredible. Best player on the ice. But now he's out until, I would say, we do not see him until after the Olympic break. And this is a huge loss for the Mammoth. And I can't really put into words how big of a loss this is for the Mammoth.
See, I mean, obviously, like it goes without saying, you lose your team's leading goal scorer. That's a huge blow. Like, and any team in the NHL loses their leading goal scorer, it's going to be a huge issue. It's really going to hurt. And that it shifts lines around. Everybody has to adjust. Other players have to kind of pick up slack and score goals. But the part that really scares me the most about it, and I'm going to do my best to not just jump into negative waters at every step during this podcast, because that gets old. This is hard enough going through the November the Mammoth fans sat through, and now December's it's a little bit better, but I'm going to try and not be completely negative about this, but I make no qualms about it. I don't think that Coach Tierney is the right guy for the job for what Utah is trying to accomplish. And the scary thing about the Logan Cooley injury is I think that they're going to use that as an excuse to not move on from Coach, because they're going to say, well, he's lost his leading goal scorer. We're just trying to get through these next 8 weeks and stay in contention so that when Cooley comes back, we can make that late season push into the playoffs. And I think they're just going to use it as, no matter how bad it gets, we can't make a move, because what's he supposed to do? He lost his leading goal scorer, one of his best players on the ice. And so they're just going to hold on to him. And I don't know if GMBA is going to make a decision to fire him one way or another, unless things go completely off the rails and we just completely forget how to win hockey games. But that's what scares me the most. I think this team, they have enough talent and enough scoring power on this team to manage without him. Obviously, they've been able to score goals. They've scored 15 over the last 4. So they're scoring just fine. I think they can handle it, but I think that's what scares me the most, is just them not willing to make a move because of what they're missing. And then obviously this is a little further down the line, but we talked about this last season where we were going to get back, I think it was Gunther and Dursey right around the trade deadline. And we talked about Utah's not going to make a move at the deadline because they're going to call their move getting those 2 guys back. And now, are they going to do the same thing with Logan Cooley and say, well, we don't need to make a move because our addition is going to be getting Logan Cooley back? So that's a little further down the line for worries, but we can talk about that as we get closer to it, and we've seen how the team has kind of fared since then. But that's my immediate fear, is if things go sideways, they use it as an excuse to not make a move.
Absolutely. And it's like we've obviously been critical of Turney and we will continue to be critical of Turney. But one of his big tests is just like you were talking about, is how does he maneuver this lineup to fill that gap left by Logan Cooley? Now, you don't have Alex Kerfoot to toss in. So we saw Alex Kerfoot come in last season and fill that role. And we all agreed that Alex Kerfoot, he's one of my favorite players, one of our favorite players, got his jersey on now, right? But he just wasn't really able to step up in that first line center position. Jack McBain tried to do it early in this season when Barrett Hayton went out and the kid line was at full throttle. So you can't really move Cooley off of that because Gunther, Cooley, and Peterka were firing on all cylinders. He didn't want to break that up. Well, McBain didn't really find his footing on that first line. And so Turney now, with a lack of center depth, Rooney's not coming in the lineup. He got called up, but he's not coming in. And so he moved Schmaltz to the center position, where Schmaltz has played center. He was listed as a center for eons and eons. And if you go to NHL.com, he's still listed as a center, but he hasn't played center in years. Man, he's a right winger for the Utah Mammoth, but he's having to step into that center role, and that's going to cause some adjustments. Now, to Turney's credit, he has had ample time to continue to change the lines that he hasn't really panic changed. Granted, he's 4-4 in December, but he's staying the course. And I got to give him credit for that, because with this is a type of line change where you can't just say, oh, it doesn't work. Let's change. Like, you have to make it work, right? Like, you have to make it work because you have sent a message to Barrett Hayton that he's not good enough to be your first line center. That's the message you've sent him. And that's the message that is being received. So you can't now flip back and say, oh, okay, just kidding, Barrett Hayton. Come back. We want you as a first line center. So you have to make Schmaltz work for 2 full months. And you bring up an excellent point, Dustin, that what happens when after the Olympic break, the deadline's only like 2 weeks after the Olympic break. And I don't even know what the Mammoth are going to do with that break. If we're going to sell for assets, are we going to try to bring in guys to make a push? Like, I still don't have a read on what he's going to do with the deadline. And so to use, like, if it is again that, oh, getting our player back from injury is our big deadline move, like, I worry because this team does need to make moves to take that next step. So it is very, very concerning. Like, I 100% agree with you in terms of the team potentially using it as an excuse to not do anything.
Yeah. And I will say, like, there is one move that I've considered, like, sending out a tweet about that I would like to see, but I have already been vocal enough about how Coach Turney is just, it hasn't worked for a couple of games. Let's throw a new lineup out there and see if this one works. And let's move him, move them, all around. But I actually would kind of like to see McBain back on line one. Like, he was on line one early in the season to start the season, and he scored in the second game of the year against Nashville. And then he got moved back and he went through this huge long stretch where he just wasn't scoring, and our bottom six wasn't doing anything. And we've talked about this before, and you mentioned last season, McBain was productive when he was on the top 2 lines, and then he got bumped back, and like he stopped scoring. I mean, obviously your bottom 6 is going to score less than your top 6, and you're surrounded by less skilled players, I guess is the nice way to say it. I don't know if that's a long-term answer, though, for a team that's like, especially one that wants to build into a playoff and eventually Stanley Cup contending team. I don't think McBain is a top-line center, but I'd like to see it. Maybe that's just because I'm a diehard McBain fan, and I would just love to see him finding more success and scoring more goals, and I can tweet the McBain gif a little bit more. But he's been productive when he's been up there, which is more than we can say about Barrett Hayton.
Okay. Hey, actually, you bring up a potential, because like we know Turney can't help himself, right? Like, he will change lines, like, right? He just can't help himself. Now, something that I've been low key pushing, if you've listened to this podcast, I would like to see Dylan Gunther and Nick Schmaltz on the same line. So what I would say, if you move McBain up, don't move Schmaltz over to right wing, because Peterka's found his footing. Peterka over 8 games in December has 9 points, 4 goals, 5 assists. Like, and that's all when he's been on line one. Like, not every single game, but since moving to line one, Paterka's been great. So you move McBain up, and then you move Schmaltz from first line center to second line right wing, combine him with Dylan Gunther. Now Dylan Gunther has a true playmaker with him. Because Krause, like, don't get me wrong, I love me some Lassie
We
Krause.
love the sheriff.
Yeah, but he's not a natural playmaker like Nick Schmaltz is, right? And Clayton Keller can be a playmaker for Paterka and McBain. So, like, I don't hate that, Dustin. I don't hate that at all if
Yeah.
McBain goes up.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I think I'm going to say this just because it's been in the back of my mind, but like I want to know, and I say this and I almost hesitate to say it just because I don't want to like ruffle any feathers or anything like that. How long do we have to wait before we can kind of question what we're getting from Clayton Keller? Because I know like he's going through a lot right now. Like I'll like the first like really close family member that I lost was my grandpa. And I was like tight with my grandpa. He was one of the best people I've ever known in my life. I still remember very vividly the day that I found out that he passed away. The phone call that I got, like my dad telling me what happened. I just kind of like you see in the movies, like the phone fell from my hand and I just like, I broke down, right? And my wife at that time, my girlfriend's dog came over and like he could tell, like, so I'm not trying to downplay anything that he's going through. I do want to know how long we have to wait and how long we have to allow him to get through this before we can kind of question, like, should we be expecting more from Clayton Keller? Which I think is a question kind of in the back of everybody's mind, but nobody wants to say that, right? Nobody wants to be the one that hops online and says, oh man, we're not getting enough from Clayton Keller. We really need the captain to step up when we know what he's going through. So like, I want to know if you're listening to this and you're willing to like tell me, because I don't know, I don't have a good answer for it. How long do we have to wait before we can kind of, all right, Captain, we need a little bit more from you.
Well, I'll be the asshole and I'll say it. So obviously we all of us empathize with Clayton Keller. We can all imagine some people have lost parents who are listeners and fans out there, right? We all have lost loved ones. We all know how difficult that is. That being said, a decision was made by Clayton Keller that he did not want to have it impact his game. He did not want to take any time off. That was a decision that Clayton Keller made, I hope, on his own, that he decided that, whether it was this is what my dad would have wanted or this is what I want and I need, this is how I'm going to process the grief, however you want to say
Yeah.
it. The minute he made that decision to continue to play and not take a step back from the game, even for a game or two, in my opinion, you can then say, okay, Clayton Keller is a consummate professional. And as a professional and the captain of the team, you are open to a little bit of constructive criticism. Now, it's kind of funny because we're talking about this, like, do you remember one of our initial episodes when we were talking about who's going to get the C and Turney, in Arizona, he ran multiple A's. He didn't want to see. And one of Turney's thought processes that he had for why he doesn't want anybody to have the C in Arizona was because he didn't want any of the blame to go on the captain, because at the time he realized his team was not going to be that good and he didn't want that blame to fall on him. Now, however, the team is good. The team is good enough, right? And I'm not saying the team is good enough so he declared a captain, but I'm saying this team is good enough where the leadership core can be held responsible for elevating the play of their teammates. And so Clayton Keller, I think, yeah, you don't want to like dogpile him because he's still playing good hockey.
Right.
But you do need him night in and night out to be one of the best players on the ice without question. And he has made a lot of glaring mistakes.
And I will say that, I'm not saying that Clayton Keller has been playing bad this season. I know he is second on the team in points, tied for the lead in assists. He's only got 10 goals on the season, but that's still that's still plenty. He's a little bit less than a point per game at this point. So he's not playing poorly, and maybe like you bring up about how he didn't want Turney didn't want the C on someone's chest because he didn't want them getting the blame. Like maybe I am holding Clayton Keller to a higher standard because he does have that C on his chest. The thing that like stands out to me is like we've had those moments like with JJ Peterka, who scored 2 goals in the third period against, was it Buffalo that he did that against?
Mm-hmm.
His old team where we're trailing 2-0 and he scores 2 on his own to tie it up. Then you have Gunther just scoring game win. You're getting like clutch plays from a lot of different players, and it doesn't seem like it's coming from Keller. He had one hell of a goal two or three games ago, that backhand just kind of over the shoulder of the netminder. I cannot remember who it was. But it was a hell of a goal. If that like I think that cut a lead from like 4-1 to 4-2 or something like that. It wasn't anything that was quote unquote clutch. And it feels like it's been a hot minute since we've got like a clutch, that's why he's your captain type moment from Clayton Keller.
Mm-hmm. When his team needs him to step up. You want to know what's spooky? Just look this up. So October 8th through December 15th, so 2025, Clayton Keller has 10 goals, 18 assists from October 8th to December 15th, 2025. October 8th, December 15th, 2024, Keller had 10 goals and 18 assists. He has the exact same points this year. Now, the one thing that's different, folks, remember, because of the Olympic break, compressed schedule, he's played 4 more games this season over that time span than he did last season. So 90 points, still not out of the realm of possibility for Clayton Keller. I think we expected a lot of people to be, at least we hoped that people would be pushing 90, and it wasn't just going to be Clayton Keller, but, we'll see, because let's talk about Clayton Keller too. And another thing that you're hoping he's not thinking about, but there's still 2 weeks left to decide who's going to make Team USA's roster. At the beginning of the year, he was a pretty good lock to say he was going to make it this year. Now, if you look at the projected rosters, he's kind of that last guy out or first guy out, however the phrasing is, that he's now on the outside looking in. So, like, you have to wonder, is he thinking about it? Is he not thinking about it? Does he care? Does he not care? If he gets snubbed again, are we going to see like superstar, like you snubbed me from the 4 nations? Let me show you why that was wrong. And if he gets snubbed from the Olympics, like good for the Mammoth because he's going to just go lights out hockey. Like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah, like
But
selfishly, I mean, I want everybody to have a chance to represent their nation if that's what they want to do. Like, I'm not going to get political, but like right now, it wouldn't be something that I would be too worried about. But I understand there are going to be people who really want to like put that jersey on. Like if you're a hockey fan, if you're a hockey player, you grew up and you watched Miracle and like you had dreams and like thoughts of like, and everybody's done that no matter what the sport is. Like if you're a baseball player, you imagine like the World Series, bottom of the ninth, full count, bases loaded type situation. Like if you're a basketball fan, it's like, oh, you're down 2 and you've got the ball in your hands. And like hockey players think about putting on that USA jersey and representing their country and doing the impossible, like in Miracle, and beating the damned USSR. But selfishly, we're like, okay, snub him and like light a fire under his ass, and like maybe we get that Keller that's like, okay, that's why this man is our captain. That's why. But I will say that is it's a very touchy subject that I worried about bringing up. Like, I will just end it by saying, like, all of us, I'll speak for Ryan, all 3 of us, we love Clayton Keller and we do not like belittle what he's going through. We just want what's best for him. And I think the easiest way for him to like get through what he's going through is to love hockey again. The easiest way to love hockey is by winning. So we just want what's best for Clayton. We want him to be happy and get through this so that he doesn't, I mean, this is a far extreme, but like he doesn't have to enter the player assistance program like Connor Ingram last season. Just get through it. All of Mammoth Nation loves you and supports you and have your back. That's
But how like interesting is that, because we've had now two players on the opposite end of that spectrum, right? Both went through extremely similar circumstances and both had radically different ways of approaching it. And so we've seen kind of like obviously the mental toll that the person side of players can take on them that can bleed over into the professional side, right? Like we
Yeah.
say this, like it's so easy for us as fans to look at them exclusively as hockey players on our team and to minimize the fact that they are humans with all the emotions that come with humans because they have a different job than most of us could ever dream of having. But at the end of the day, at their core, they're still humans with all the nuances and things that go in to being human. And
Yeah.
we have had the front row seats of seeing two different ways of handling a very similar human experience.
Yeah. It makes me think of, have you ever watched Ted Lasso?
I have seen parts. I have not seen it though.
Okay.
Not seen it. But spoil
So
away. I don't plan on
okay,
watching it.
I'm gonna spoil it away. If you're listening to this and you haven't listened to Ted Lasso, fast forward about a minute and a half ish. I won't go on too long about it. But there's one scene in Ted Lasso where one of the players on the team goes into the stands to fight somebody who said a derogatory slur to a player on the field and gets ejected from the game. And after the post game, Roy Kent, who's like an assistant coach at that point, is addressing it. And he tells a story about when he was on he was on a team and he was joking around with another player who was on that team whose wife was pregnant. And he made a joke, like some stupid joke about, statistically, the odds are the kid's actually mine. And the player that he says it to, like, I think the phrase that Roy Kent uses, he battered me properly. Like, I broke a couple of ribs, couldn't play for a week. They kicked him off the team, and I ran into him months later, got the chance to talk to him, apologize for my stupid joke, and he told me that him and his wife had lost the baby a couple of weeks before, and he didn't tell anybody and just held it all in. Like, it's just a really good, I think about that all the time when I catch myself not being the best person that I can be. You never know what people are going through. Just love and kindness, really. I don't really know where I was going for with that, but that's what the discussion made me think of.
You were doing a super sweet, positive thing before I go scorched earth hellfire into negativity about another player's performance that I want to kind of talk about, because coming into the season was a integral part of this team's success. We had all hoped that he was going to take the next step and be an incredible player, and then he
Spicy
himself
tuna.
once again. Nope, nope. I have very
Ah,
low expectations for the tunes. Actually, truth be told, Spicy Tuna has shattered every expectation I had for him this season. He has completely shattered everything. I expected, if we were lucky, an assist from Tuna. And he has what, 4 points now? Something like that?
I was gonna say
So
two goals now.
2 goals and I think 2 assists on the season. So
Or you
he's
ramble
just,
on and I'll double check.
but it's none other than Sean Dursey, right? So Sean Dursey last season, oh, he only has 2 goals, 1 assist. Okay.
2 goals, 1 assist.
All right, Tuna still triple your production, and the 2 goals might as well count as 20 assists for you. But Sean
Exactly.
Dursey last season fixes to be, he's the top pairing defenseman. He's going to be running point on the power play unit next to Sergachev on, obviously power play 1, power play 2 type thing. And he's going to be the second most important defenseman we have on the team. Well, he gets injured. He misses 45 games or something like that last season. This season he gets injured, misses 20 games. He comes back. He's played 11 games since he returned from injury. He's minus 11. In the month of December, he's minus 10. He does have 3 points, but he's playing on the power play unit, and he's actually splitting time with Sergachev on power play unit 1. But he just cannot put it together 5-on-5 defensively. PK wise, the PK looks great, but 5-on-5, Sean Dursey looks like an absolute liability out there. He is far and away the worst plus minus on the team in December. Far and away.
He was finally on defensive line number 1 against Pittsburgh, and he scored. So maybe the locomotive's gaining a little bit of speed down the track. Maybe he's just a diesel engine. It takes a while to get going, but once it gets going, we're full steam ahead down I-15. There's a chance.
All I'm
But I
saying,
do understand the all right, where's it going to come? Where is it?
well, you look at it, so like defensively, like we've got a great depth of defensemen, right? Like we saw Dmitry Shimyshev start in the NHL because of likely the Dursey injury and things, but but he came in, wasn't quite as impactful as we'd hoped, but he still fixes to be a very good long-term piece. And then we have Maverick Lamoureux, who got his chance in December, came up, actually I thought played great. I thought he played better than Dmitry Simashev did in his time. But then
I was
he
super surprised he
gets
got
sent
sent back
down.
down.
Yeah, he gets sent down quick. He only plays 3 games, and now
Played well.
you've got Oli Mata coming back, which is great. You've got Nick DeSimone, who's waiting in the wings, but you've got Sean Dursey there, who's like a man who's drowning. He grabs onto Sergachev and he drags him down. Sergachev's -4 plus minus. He grabs Nate Schmidt and pulls him down. Nate Schmidt's -4 plus minus, and I bet you all 4 of those minus points are when either of them are paired with Dursey. He just has been making a lot of mental mistakes, and I don't know if this is him getting back into the swing of things. I don't know if its defensive pairings are not quite what he had hoped or what he'd practiced for. Maybe the game toll, like, right, our broadcast crew loves to hammer this point home is, oh, they play a lot of games, they play a lot of games, they play a lot of games. Like, right, they're professional athletes. It's kind of what they do,
Yeah.
it's like what they get paid to do. It's not that much worse, but I guess 4 games over the same stretch, 4 more games over 2 months, like maybe that is huge. Maybe that's a huge difference. And that's just not working for Sean Dursey, but he's got to step it up. He 100%, Sean Dursey needs to get his head out of his ass and he needs to step it up. And I'm not even talking about offensively, even though I'd like to see it because he is an offensive first defenseman, but I'd like him
Yeah.
to step it up in the defensive zone. If you're not going to, like, man, you got to put up more numbers than you're putting up. Like, you've got to, you got to maybe try for a point per game, which is unrealistic for our defensemen. But, I just want to see more out of Sean Dursey. And I don't think I'm too off base there.
No, I don't think you're off base. I, in being the true yin to your yang in basically all walks of life, since you're gonna call out Dursey, I'm gonna turn about and give flowers to John freaking Marino, who is
He's so good.
playing outstanding hockey right now, man. Just outstanding hockey. He's got 15 assists on the season, I believe, 2 goals, and he's playing really well on both sides of the ice, really good in defense. So I'm gonna give my man his flowers, be the yin to your yang, bring positivity when you try to swing your negativity, and give flowers to John Marino because he is playing fantastic hockey as of late.
Not always negative, not always. Nick Schmaltz is playing great. Hey, anybody seen the way Nick Schmaltz has been playing? My man.
Yeah, the
I
the
do
goal
love
that
me
he
some Nick
scored
Schmaltz.
on Vamelka off of his own back,
Mm-hmm.
he was the best player for 2 squads in 1 period.
I tell you, he's just
You
that
know
good.
how
He's
good
just
you
that
have
good.
to be at hockey to be the best player on 2 different teams?
You just can't tell me that he's not doing this to not only spark his team to say, guys, like, I know I'm going to carry us, but I'm also going to carry the other team. That's how much I need you guys to step it up. By the way, John Marino's almost caught his point total for all of last season. He had 17 points last season, and he's at
He has
14
17
points
points
now.
now.
So, yeah, so he's just
No, he has 2 goals,
no,
15 assists. He's at 17
he
now.
has 14 points, right?
No, he has, unless I'm looking at, he has 2 goals and 15 assists on the season right now. He's
Oh, then
got
maybe that was
17
that.
points.
I've got it switched. I've got it
He is
switched.
he is 15 in the plus minus, which is 17th in the NHL.
He is just that gosh dang good. But yeah, okay, so we had 14 points last year. 14 points
So he's
last year.
already past it
Only
by
played
3.
35 games. Only played 35 games, but through 35 games, through 34
All right,
games
let's see.
this season, he has more points than he did last season.
34 games. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So
Played
that's the if he
really good
stays
hockey.
healthy, if he stays healthy, then that's what we're gonna, want. We guess at the end of the day, we just need guys to stay healthy. Because if we have another long-term injury on this team, I think we are done for. We are teetering. We are teetering on the brink between like every day I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna tank. It's a super deep draft class. We don't even need the first overall pick. Just tank, get into the top 5 and you'll be fine. Hell, get into the top 10 of the draft and you're going to be fine. And then the next I'm like, no, let's go out. Let's buy everything. We can really make a run. We can shock the world in the first round and beat Colorado or Dallas, whoever ends up in that number 1 seed in the West, which it looks like at this point a 2-horse race between the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars. So we would face one of them likely in the first round of the playoffs. But it's one of those things where my hope is coming back down to reality. We said this before that we were going to fight for a wild card spot. A wild card spot seems to be the best we can hope for, but we're right there. We're right there. We're just a point. We're technically tied for 8th with San Jose. They have a game in hand and a better points percentage, so they have the tiebreaker there. Everybody else around us is also losing. Winnipeg just got Hallebuck back, which was going to be a huge thing for them, so they still have the entire second half of the season with Hallebuck. So we know they're going to come up. So we've got to beat out the San Jose Sharks. We've got to beat out the Chicago Blackhawks. We've got to beat out the Seattle Kraken. And then whoever gets bumped because of the Winnipeg Jets, or you throw the Winnipeg Jets in there. The Wild just got Quinn Hughes, the second best offensive defenseman in the league, next to Cale Makar. So you've got just that team, 8 straight first round playoff exits. And that's a team that's saying, we're done with first round playoff exits. We're going to ship some of our young guys, just drafted guys, and get a guy who may only stay for 2 years and make a run at it. Like, because they're only guaranteed Quinn for 2 years, right? And then who knows what Quinn Hughes is going to do. Quinn Hughes never really says what he's going to do, but who knows? But they're making those moves. So is Utah going to make moves? And is there even a guy? And I think we all agree, you and I, most of the people out there, we need a center, ideally a first-line center. And is there even a guy out there that's willing to be traded before the deadline?
It feels like, personnel-wise, I won't get into the coaching side of things because we've beat that horse to death multiple times. This team is like one top-line center away from being really, really good. Like, we have a lot of offensive firepower, and we were talking about the defensive pairings and the defensemen that we have. And if, like, Sergachev's been you could probably label him as a disappointment so far this season versus what we were expecting from him. And you could probably do the same with Dursey.
Mm-hmm.
That's our top line defense. If they can get things going, the rest of our defense is so damn good. Schmidt and Marino are great. Like, Schmidt's been awesome this season too. That was a great acquisition this offseason. Schmidt is a +9 in the plus minus. Marino's a +15. We just talked about that. And then your third line is going to be Cole, who's been phenomenal this year. Like, the guy that we used to just joke, like, he goes out on the ice to commit a penalty and then goes to the box and we give up the power play goal. Like, Cole's been really good. And Olli Mata is just sort of your solid, reliable, stay-at-home defender. Like, he's not going to blow you away with anything. He just plays solid hockey, which, like, I don't know about you, but that's what I want from, like, a third-line defenseman. That's right where I want Olli Mata. Like, that defense is set. That is a good defensive 6. Like, I like that a lot. And there's so much offensive firepower, so much young skill and like, capability, I guess would be a word to use on the offensive side. Like, just one top line center, it feels, is like just the key to getting this roster right where you want it to make a run at the playoffs. So just find something to do. We have a pipeline full of young talent to go out there and make a move. If you don't want to touch any of the like the core players, like you can bundle some of our bottom 6 players to make a move, because like our bottom 6 hasn't been great, but it feels like we're just that one small piece away from being like locked into like, okay, this is a playoff roster for sure. And I won't talk about who's coaching them there.
No, I mean you gotta make the playoffs to if you want to be coaching longer term than just this year. You got to make the playoffs, Andre, because I don't even think like if you look at it, like I don't even think the rebuild that Arizona went through, like I think we're kind of moving on from the tear it down to the studs and rebuild from the ground up. So if you don't have that anymore, then a coach like Turney, if you're like Andre Turney is the greatest rebuild coach in the history of rebuild coaches. Like if teams don't do that anymore, and maybe they will, like right, like maybe Vancouver will tear it down to the studs. They haven't, but maybe they will, But other teams who are looking at your rebuilds aren't really tearing it down to the studs. And so at some point you need the development and the X's and O's coach. And he's just not it. But you do have a GM in GM Bill Armstrong who will find that guy if it works for GM Bill Armstrong, which comes to my big question that I've been asking all season is if you really put GM Bill Armstrong's feet to the fire, do the playoffs mean anything to him this season? Because he spoke a lot that this team was a playoff team, but I don't know necessarily that he's judging what he's going to do and what his team needs based on if we make the playoffs. We've got a lot of people in the pipeline that are coming up, but I don't know if you can I am skeptical about youth and its ability to become good early. Daniil Boot is a great example, right? Daniil Boot has a flashy game style. He's a big body, speedy skater. He's going to be good. He has 1 assist through 7 games played so far. He played minutes on the second line when he first got called up. His first foray into the NHL was as a second line winger. Now he's on the third line, but he has 1 assist through 7 games, right? Dmitry Shimashev had 1 point through how many games? Like 25 before he was sent down. Right, he's a defenseman, so he doesn't need to score. But if we're 15 games in and Daniil Boot still has 1 point, 2 points, that's the growing pains you're gonna have if you put all of your faith in young guys, right? It's like, oh yeah, well we got our first line center. Desnoyers, he's our first line center or second line center behind Cooley, so we got him, and Ginla's gonna come in, and we got him, and Cole Baudouin, and we got him, and we got all these young guys that are going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 years to be good. And by then, what does our roster even look like? We're looking at trying to re-sign JJ Peterka. We're hoping that we got Clayton Keller back. All these pieces are moving that if we go all in on the youth, what do? And so it's just to your point, we got to look at what we can do to bring somebody in, even if it's just for this season and next. Right? And then give your youth time to develop. You don't need to throw them into the meat grinder and hope that they're Dylan Guenther and Logan Cooley. Dylan Guenther played half the season in the AHL, by the way, before he came up to the NHL. So you've got to give these guys time because they're not all going to be immediate. They're not all Dylan Guenthers, right? They're not all Logan Cooleys. Some of them are going to take a little bit longer, no matter how good they were in the Canadian juniors. It doesn't matter. The NHL game is a different game. I'm sure if you asked Daniil Boot, he would tell you the same thing. It's different from when he played in Russia. It's different from when he played in the AHL. He's lighting up both those leagues. And in the NHL, he looks good. We all want him to do good. We all know he's going to do good. But at this point, we're all just like, oh, he's going to get it soon.
When is it? It's going to happen soon.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Well, how long are we going to say it's going to happen until it happens? But that's what happens when you bank all of your chips on youth. The Jazz know this. Jazz fans, you know this.
And Jazz fans have seen, I've made this comparison multiple times before, but the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they just did this last season. The Oklahoma City Thunder won the NBA championship 2 years prior. They didn't make the NBA playoffs. And then the year after, so 2 years ago, they make the playoffs, but they get knocked out in the second round. But that was the process. Okay, you learn how to win, Then you get in the playoffs and you learn what it's like in the playoffs. And then the next year you make your run. It's just like, it's the natural step, the natural progression. And the Oklahoma City Thunder have done it twice. They did it when their core was Durant and Westbrook and Harden, where they made the playoffs. They snuck in as the 8th seed. They got demolished by, I believe it was the Lakers in the first round, but they got that experience of what playoff basketball was like. And it's going to be the same way with Utah Mammoth, which is why I'm so like I so desperately want them to make the playoffs this season, because they have to learn that. Like when you get into into the NHL playoffs, it is a different breed, is a different type of hockey, and it's different when you're playing the same team every other night, and it's not like, okay, we're scouting this team, and then the next day we're scouting this team, and the next day we're scouting this team, and we're preparing for different teams over the span of a week, like you do in the regular season. It is a different beast when you're playing in the playoffs, and you have to have that experience to then go win in the playoffs. Like, it's just the natural progression of things. You learn, if you have a young core, they learn how to play together, they learn how to win in the regular season. And then they sneak into the playoffs and they learn what that's like. And then the next year, then they start winning in the playoffs. And it's just like, it is a 2 to 3 year plan of like, ooh, now we're winning in the playoffs. And that's where they are. Like last year, they learned how to play winning hockey in the regular season. This year, the next step is making the playoffs, probably losing in 4 or 5 games in the first round, because that's just how it goes. But you learn and you get that taste of playoff hockey and how to play it. And then the next year, you're like, okay, we know how to win in the regular season. We know how to make it to the playoffs. Now we've experienced the playoffs and we know how to play there. That's when you start winning. Like, it's the natural step. And if they don't take that step this year, then they're behind schedule. Then they have to do it the next year, and everything's just 1 year behind, and contracts are 1 year closer to coming up and 1 year closer to having to, well, we got to move this piece, and now we got to move that piece, and this piece is not under contract anymore, and we don't want to give them 3-4 more years, so they're no longer a piece of this puzzle. Like, you have to do it this year. It's very critical. It's very important in building a sports franchise. You have to experience playoff hockey, and outside of the guys like Schmidt and whether like that you've brought in, the core hasn't tasted playoff hockey before. They have to.
Speaking of Nate Schmidt, so remember when we played his comments and he was talking about, actually, we didn't play his comments. They were just making the rounds on social media about how there's a certain brand of hockey that you got to play to win, right? Like, that's the next gear of the playoffs that every team takes, where every guy starts putting everything he has on the ice. And one of the things that I think frustrates every single fan of this Utah Mammoth team, you and I see it every time we talk about it, is that this team has that gear. We've seen that gear. You see that gear almost every night, but you only see it for a small portion of the game. And then the rest of the game, they're just not at that level. And you got to kick that gear in for 60 minutes to win in the playoffs. But you got to, like you said, you got to get to the playoffs. And then I want to see guys like Nick Schmaltz. Are you willing to throw a check in the playoffs? Clayton Keller, are you willing to throw a check in the playoffs? Dylan Gunther, are you willing to throw a check in the playoffs? Like, I know the guys who are going to be willing to throw checks in the playoffs, they throw them in the regular season. I need everybody, because you got to play this team that you're playing for 4 games minimum. And you got to wear them down. You got to grind them down, because if you don't, they will grind you down. And so every player. So I want to see that next level game from the Utah Mammoth. Even if we get swept in the first round, I want to just see them. I just want to see what they've got in their playoff tank. Okay. All right.
You know, and you bring up like the inability to string together an entire game. Like, how many times have we seen where Utah comes out in the first period and they look like far and away that is the best team on the ice, that like they're just completely outclassing whoever they're playing, and then in the second period it's like, where do they go? Did they come out of the locker room? Like, who is this team on the ice? Like, they haven't even gained possession of the puck in the offensive zone, and we've got 10:40 left on the clock. Like, what happened to that team? So, like, that's what I want to see against Boston as we record tomorrow. But when this gets released later today, I just want to see a full 3 periods. You know what? If they go out there and they play a full 3 periods and they lose 3-2 in overtime or 3-2 in regulation, 4-3, whatever, I just want to see a full 3 periods of good, intense hockey like you would have to play in the NHL playoffs. Just give me a full games, because we have not seen many of them this year.
No, we have not. You've got the back-to-back on the second half of the back-to-back. Both Boston and Detroit are winnable games for this team. You cannot tell me with a straight face that Boston and Detroit are significantly better than the Utah Mammoth. I don't believe you if you
No.
do say that. Like, these are
They're
two
good
teams that we
teams.
can. They're good teams.
But
and
they're not like, you're not looking at them like Winnipeg or Dallas or Colorado, where you're like, okay, like maybe if we play our best game, we can stay in this thing. Like, these are teams that we're at least on equal footing with.
Yep. And we talk about how important it is to momentum is a big buzzword, right? You hear momentum talk, inter period, inter game, game to game momentum. Last season, the Utah Mammoth had 7 losing streaks of 3 games or more. Only one time did they win 3 or more after losing 3. Only one time did we flip the script. This year, we've lost 3 or more in a row 4 times, and we have yet to put together 3 wins after that. We've got 2 on the board now. We get 1 more, that's called a winning streak. And you got to do it against Boston or Detroit, because then it gets a little tougher. You've got New Jersey at home, Winnipeg at home, and then Colorado at Colorado. By the way, guys, Colorado still has not lost at home in regulation. Over like 22 games, they have not lost at home in regulation. And then you finish the month out against Nashville. So you've got 6 games where you've got a chance to set yourself up for success going into January, or you could be looking at, oh God, we got to beat the Nashville Predators to even save the month. That's why Boston and Detroit are so crucial as we come back at home against New Jersey and Winnipeg. By the way, Winnipeg has Hellebuyck back ahead of schedule. So one of the things we talked about putting as much distance between us and Winnipeg while Hellebuyck was out, well, he wasn't out for nearly as long as anyone thought. It was a rapid recovery. He's back. Winnipeg's not going to lie down. We're ahead of them in the standings now, but I do not see that continuing now that Hellebuyck is healthy. Well, healthy-ish. We'll see how long that can last. But these games are important. Every single game. Yeah. It mattered in October. It matters now. You got to win the winnable games on your schedule. You got to do it.
And not only you got to win the winnable games, but like Boston and Detroit are 2 winnable games. And that if you win those 2 and you're on a 4-game win streak going to that game against New Jersey, like a few weeks ago, New Jersey looked like a really, really good team. That team has now lost 7 of their last 10. They're going through their own struggles right now. And that is a much more like winnable game if you're coming into that on the high of a 4-game win streak, feeling like, all right, we're turning the season around, as they're kind of like hitting the skids a little bit. The complexion of that game alone changes based on how you do against Boston and Detroit. And then if you take that and you put together a 5-game win streak heading into Winnipeg, like you can play against Winnipeg. I've seen Utah do it. Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot easier if you're coming into that on a 5-game win streak, feeling like you're on top of the world, and Winnipeg's like, ooh, we got to watch out for this Utah team. Like, success builds upon itself. You got to win these next 2, and then like you can put something together and strike a little bit of fear into Winnipeg and Colorado, or at least make them feel like, okay, we've got to be at our best to beat this team.
Can you imagine the levels of hype if we win these next 4? And then go into Colorado on a 6-game winning streak? The hype level that we saw in October, it would reach that crescendo. And then we were to beat Colorado in Denver, like I would raise the cup now. Now, will it happen? Probably not. But can you imagine what it'd be like if it did?
Even if you lose to Colorado, like if we won 4 of the next 5 and we take like take a 6-game win streak into Colorado, and then at least that give them a run for their money on their home ice. Then the schedule goes Nashville, New York, New Jersey, New York, Ottawa, St. Louis, Columbus, Toronto. Like, that is a very long streak of very winnable games. And you can turn the season around like that. I believe it hinges on these next 2 games. If you beat Boston, if you beat Detroit, and you go into that New Jersey game riding that high and you defend your home ice in that one, that sets you up for success for the first half of January until you run into Dallas on the 15th. Like, that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but like, to me, this feels like a turning point, like a very critical spot of the season, because these next 2 games, Boston and Detroit, are going to determine how you play against Winnipeg and Colorado. And then after that, if you're riding a high at that point, when you go into that stretch of like winnable game after winnable game after winnable game, the results are going to be a whole lot better if you're up here than if you're trying to dig out of it. Like, that could turn this whole season around. Like, we could be here a month from today prepping for prepping for the Dallas game, saying like, this team out of nowhere, like, now we're not even talking about a wild card. They're catching Minnesota, they're catching Dallas. Like, this team has turned everything around. Who thought who thought it was a good idea to fire Tyranny? Like, I'll call myself out. I'll eat crow, I'll scarf that up like I'm starving. I won't care. But this is obviously outside of the point of like, it's at the midpoint of the season, it kind of goes without saying. This is a very, very critical stretch of the season, and these next 2 games they're the hinge on which the door swings, and that door may be opening or closing to the playoffs.
I will guarantee this. I will make this guarantee right now. Otherwise, beefy bean layer, 7-layer Doritos or burritos, whatever they are, you get ready to go somewhere. If we are in playoff position when Logan Cooley returns from injury, we will make the playoffs, guaranteed. If we are out of the playoff position when Logan Cooley comes back, I don't know that alone will lead us to the promised land. Got a lot of big things to come up. Now, this positivity we're talking about, it may seem like a Christmas miracle, but this is going to be the last episode we record because we've got families. We've got the holidays coming up. We got Christmas, we got New Year's, we got it all. So we will not be back in studio until the turn of the new year. This is the last time that you're going to hear from us verbally or in the airwaves, on the YouTubes, on the podcasting platforms. You'll hear us on Twitter. We'll still be there. But let's make a Christmas wish. You get one Christmas wish for this team to finish out December. What is your one Christmas wish for the Utah Mammoth for the remaining games?
For their remaining games or from now until Christmas?
Now until let's throw it in because it's only the Nashville game after. So you get one Christmas wish that expires on December 31st.
Okay, I want no more than 2 losses.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's my. I fully believe if you go in and your only losses through that stretch are Winnipeg and Colorado, and especially if you play well in those games, you're going to go on a big, long winning streak through the first half of January. And that's going to set everything up for the rest of the season. All I want, I just no more than 2 losses.
I like it. That puts you at 8-6 through December. You're probably still right in that wild card, if not already there, depending on how San Jose does. So I want for my Christmas wish, I want Vitek Vanacek to get a win in the month of December. That's a man who desperately needs confidence. I don't know how many more opportunities he's gonna get in December with a back-to-back coming up
against Boston or Detroit.
He's probably going to play one of those games. I just want one Vitek Vanacek win because if he continues to not play as great as he has, it's guys, buckle up because we're going to have Vejmelka for 25 straight games if Vitek loses another one. But his stats don't look bad. He hasn't won in December, but his stats don't look bad in November. So one Christmas wish, Vitek Vanacek gets a win in the month of December.
I like that. That's a very good wish. You thought about this. You had one in
Nope.
the chamber waiting to throw me a curveball. You're like,
No.
I've already got the perfect answer.
I was probably going to wish for a Nick Schmaltz hat trick because that's the selfish guy I am. But I was
Oh,
thinking
we didn't
like
even decide a Nick Schmaltz of the week winner.
No, that's another thing, guys.
We gotta hit the text thread, the podcast text thread, and decide who
I
wins
think we can all
Nick Schmaltz of the week.
agree last week that it's got to be JJ Paterka. I think JJ Paterka would have won it last week if we had announced it, but we were all so down in the dumps and we all got busy with life that we didn't actually announce it.
We did the fans won 2 weeks ago.
The fans won. Yep. The fans won 2 weeks
ago. And then
ago.
I was like, we can't do fans again, but I don't think anybody deserves it to win this last week. And somebody's supposed to win it tomorrow. Tomorrow is when we're supposed to announce it. When this episode drops, it'll be today. But Tuesday, the 16th, somebody's supposed to win it. Is it JJ Paterka? I thought it could be Vemelka. Did Vemelka give us our shutout? No, that was December 3rd. Okay. No.
So if we go back, if we go back from where we missed, it's got to be either Paterka or Veggie. We could have our first Nick Schmaltz of the Week award. Paterka.
So
you know who has the most points over from December 7th to December 14th?
The winner today is from the Florida, Seattle, and Pittsburgh games. You could give it to Gunther. You could mix it up and give it to Stenlund.
I'm just saying Nick Schmaltz has the most points over that week span.
Do we return to our roots and give it back to Nick Schmaltz?
Schmaltz of the week. Dylan Gunther played great. John Marino's got 3 assists. Kevin Stenlund's got 3 assists.
We haven't given it to a defensive player yet. Do we give it to Marino?
You know who we should?
They never get the flowers because they don't score the goals all the time.
Let's give it to our most important defenseman in the month of December, Ian Cole. My God, he's carrying the team. He's plus 12 for the month of December. Plus 12.
Let's give a quick look. So against Florida, let's see. Against Florida, Ian Cole is plus 1. Let's just go to Ian Cole's game log. So against Florida, he's plus 1. Against Seattle, he's plus 2. And against Pittsburgh, he's even. So he's plus 3 over those games.
I'm going all the way back to December 1st, and because we didn't give them we didn't give them one.
Okay, so all month of December, he's plus 12. He's plus 12 for the month of December.
And the next 8 guys who are in the plus category are only plus 16. 8 players combined for plus 16, only 4 points ahead of Ian Cole himself.
All right, I'll make the executive decision. Congratulations to week, God, what is it, 8 now? Nick Schmaltz of the week winner, Ian Motherfucking Cole.
What a guy.
Your graphic will hit tomorrow morning.
He's just going to spend the entire time in the penalty box to Nick Schmaltz of the Week award winner. How good does it feel to be Ian Cole right now? I have to wonder. It's got to be a magical feeling.
I think we can do that because Ian Cole is paired up with Ollie Mata. I was going to say, do we just give it to their line, but they're not on the same line. Because Marino's running with Schmidt, right?
Back. I would give it. I just give it to Cole and just start from December 1st to December 12th, or what it was the stat line that I was looking at, or December 15th, December 1st through the 15th, and he's plus 12 over that time, and then we'll continue.
Perfect.
We may take a break during the holidays. We may take a break because really the spirit of the holidays is that the whole team is the Nick Schmaltz of the Week award winner, right? Especially they did that pay it forward thing, right? They're helping in the community. They're doing great things. That's what Nick Schmaltz would have wanted them to do. Dustin, what a great episode. Any final thoughts before we get on out of here? The final thoughts of 2025.
I love everybody. Ice baths are awesome, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I love taking ice baths.
Channel your inner, your mom loves hockey and Johnny loves hockey, and never stop believing. They're singing it on the highway. They knew it was coming, the comeback against Pittsburgh. And if you want to see the Mammoth win, never stop believing. Criticize them constructively, but never stop believing. Guys, thanks so much for listening.
Look at what you have done to the mayor of Negative Town, Johnny. Ending an episode with saying never stop believing, the mayor of Negative Town.
The hat is up
The
there. I'm
the
pointing at
miracle
it.
worker
I have
Johnny
not
and
brought it
Your
down.
Mom's
We
Hockey.
we are not in that
Family
dire
Cup
of straits.
champions they are.
That's why they're Family Cup champions, because they're bringing the panache, or whatever that word is, to
Yes.
the arena, to the fan base, to everybody out there at home. Guys, what a great 2025 it's been. Not quite halfway through the season, but we're almost done with the year, and we will be with you at the turn of the clocks when it goes to January 1st, 2026. We will arise from our slumber and be back on the airwaves. Everybody out there, thanks so much for listening. Have a great night.
Peace.